Heaven's California.
Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another Manchester United football review. Just before we get into it, I am currently going to run through the game like I did last week on FIFA. Only the reason being my camera's out of battery and I haven't had a chance to charge it yet. So we will be watching another playthrough of the game. You'll still have my face cam up. We're back in the top left or top right. And we'll just let the game play through. Hopefully it isn't too loud. Let's whack that down a little. And then we will get talking about the game. Just actually before we do that as well, obviously FIFA 19 out very soon, so do stay tuned for that if you are a FIFA fan. But we're going to talk about the Manchester United Burnley game from yesterday, and it was a win that a lot of Manchester United fans at the start of the game were maybe a little bit cautious of, because it can be a tough game up at Turf Moor, can't it? We haven't had the best results there before, but we walk away with a 2-0 win, and a well-deserved 2-0 win. For me, let me just skip through all that and we'll let that play through. A well-deserved win. A fairly good performance from the team. The team lineup itself was more of Manchester United stature, and I think that's the formation that we should kind of go with a deep line centre midfielder, then two more centre midfielders wide of that one, and then a front three who can kind of interchange around each other. The back line yesterday was, to be fair, Burnley didn't show up, and we didn't really know what they were going to offer, and turns out they weren't exactly offering much. Apologies if you can hear the fan in the background. It is super warm in here today. The sun is out, and whenever the sun is out in this room, it beats into this room and just makes the room like an oven. So I do apologise for that. But no, Burnley, didn't show up yesterday. They were lacklustrous. I was watching Full Time Devils last night, and Adam McCullough was interviewing Official Visa, the Burnley kid not kid, but he's the same age as me, I think, who was there watching. He said, quite frankly, we were shit, and on a different day it could have been 4 or 5-0, and that is again true. We look at it last week and we say after the first half it could have been 2, 3, 4-0 to Manchester United. After the 90 minutes yesterday, it could have been 4 or 5-0 to Manchester United. But again, we are lacking that clinicalness. There was a few chances. Romelu Lukaku had his popped in, obviously got the double yesterday. For me, I think when we awarded the penalty from the foul in the box and Pogba stood up to take that, I think it would have just improved Lukaku's confidence to give him that hat-trick. If you got to play on a hat-trick, at least let him take it, because Pogba, his penalty run-up is interesting. Goalkeepers are going to get to know how to play against it, and nevertheless, it was saved by Joe Hart. Then Pogba had, I could think Lukaku had about 5 or 6 chances he could have scored yesterday. Net 2, and he hasn't looked so confident this season. He's missed a lot of chances, but he's got 3 goals in 4 games, so not bad going. You think of if he scored in every 3 quarters of the game. 3 quarters of 38 is nearer to what, 9, I think? Is it 9? Nearly 9. If he got 20, if he was over 20 goals for the club, I think that would be very, very respectful for Romelu Lukaku. And I think the system we played with yesterday was much more suited than what we played against Spurs. I'm not too sure why we played 5 at the back when if the manager's sitting there saying, I was worried before the game went in, because he said, he felt that he doesn't have the defence behind the midfield and the strikers and the forwards to play that high-tempo attacking football. And yesterday wasn't as high-tempo as it was against Spurs, but the tempo was still there. It looked a little more, we were a bit more in control of the game. Now, obviously, the level of opposition is a lot different. You know, Burnley are nowhere near as good as Spurs. And, but, you know, it might only be Burnley, but it's that confidence boost the team needs going into the next game against Watford, who, surprisingly enough, are top of the table. 4 games played, 4 wins. They're doing all right. And it's a shame for me the international break comes up now, because I think, you know, we got that good game behind us. You know, we've had some fantastic performances yesterday. You know, the goalkeeper wasn't troubled too much, nor was the back four really. Defensively, you know, Burnley didn't really create too much. We looked solid at the back. You know, it wasn't so scrappy. I think Spurs, the back line was a bit scrappy, but I think we were a bit more organised there with Smalling and Lindelof. You know, Smalling, I think he had an alright game. The goalkeeper, you know, did what he had to do. Lindelof, he's still learning. You know, him and Bailly are both very, very young. You know, they could be in the game for another 10, 12 years and, you know, playing at a top level for a centre-back, maybe 10 years. Lindelof stretching on 12, depending on how well his fitness does. But, you know, they're still learning, and they need someone that experienced centre-back, like our most experienced centre-back is Chris Smalling. And you put a couple of games under their belts, and they're going to start to get that confidence, and they're going to start to work as a unit at the back four. It looks like the wing-backs are definitely sorted, and I think that's one of the better things we've seen this season compared to last season. Because last season, let's face it, we didn't really have a left-back as sort. We've kind of took Ashley Young, who 2 years ago was playing left mid. Then we kind of used him as a right mid. Then we kind of used him as a right wing back, then a right back, then a left wing back, and he ended up at left back. Got into the EA team of the season. That was a very close opportunity there for Burnley on the simulation. But now I think that we have that natural left-footed wing back that has the stamina to go up and down the pitch. You know, I was worried for Luke Shaw when when Jose Mourinho came in, because, you know, he was always on the floor, he was always complaining, and Jose Mourinho slammed him. You know, I think Luke Shaw's had a very, very unfortunate career at Manchester United, all starting off back on that second season with Louis van Gaal in the Champions League, picking up that injury at PSV Eindhoven. You know, if he hadn't have got that injury then, and he'd have stayed in the first team through then, heavens alone think how good he would be then. Because the potential of a player is still there. Obviously, he's going to be hitting his peak at a little bit of a higher age than he would have done. You know, he would have been at his peak now. What is he now? 23? Now it could be maybe 24, 25, 26. But it's what we need on that left-hand side. That natural... Because last season, all the width kind of started coming from Valencia. And Valencia, don't get me wrong, he's another player that we've had who used to play on the right-hand side of the midfield, and we've kind of just gone, we need a right-back, we're not going to buy one, we're just going to turn Valencia into a right-back. And luckily for us, it worked. But he's 33, he's getting on a bit. How much longer is he going to be able to make that right-back work going up and down the touchline? Because we don't play with any wide midfielders. Our forward three, how I like it, we were playing Alexis on the right, Alexis on the left, Lingard on the right, and Lukaku obviously up at as our lone striker. Well, not our lone striker, but I think they like to. We know Alexis and Lingard like to play a little bit narrower, so I like the reassurance of Valencia and Luke Shaw that can fill that space on the wing and put balls in to Lukaku, because that is Lukaku's biggest strength. You know, he isn't like a Jesus or an Aguero or who else? Can't really say Kane or Lucas or that smaller, more technically gifted with the feet striker like Lacazette or an Aubameyang. He's a Harry Kane Morata style who can hold the ball up and who can pass the ball around. And don't get me wrong, he can do good stuff with feet, and we saw it yesterday when he was one-on-one with Joe Hart, and he did go down, and he looked a bit confused if it was a penalty or not. And to be honest, so was I. I was a little bit confused if it was a penalty or not. I think a different referee would have probably given a different result. A lot of people weren't happy with the referee yesterday. There was a few things that maybe he got wrong. Maybe that penalty decision should have been a penalty. I've never seen Lukaku dive before in the box. I wouldn't see a reason for him to dive again. He's a big guy. It's going to be, it's going to be quite obvious to see him dive. But whether he just tripped up, I don't know. A lot of people saying it's a handball. We still got the win. It doesn't really matter. The 3 points really do matter at the end. But I think Alexis looked alright yesterday as well. He isn't back to his Arsenal Alexis, but he looks like he's got that confidence. Getting that assist, putting the ball in for Lukaku. Putting the ball in for Lukaku. He can shoot on the goalkeeper one-on-one, but he's not going to pick the ball up at 30, 40 yards and run through the team with it. That's not what Lukaku does. And if that's the style of play we're trying to get, you'd be better off playing Martial or Rashford up at striker. But of course, the big headline from the game really was the Marcus Rashford incident. Not taken away from the 2 goals that Lukaku scored, because they were alright-ish goals. For me, it's not how the goals are scored. It's just that if we score them. And I think essentially what you would say is the more chances we create, the more we should score goals, and that's what Jose's saying. And I believe in Jose. He's not the manager that I would sit there and say, yeah, I want Jose at Manchester United, when we got rid of Louis van Gaal, but it was kind of obvious that we were going to take him. No, he isn't the style of manager that I would like to see at Manchester United, but we've always stuck by the manager at this club, unless it's going very, very bad. And it's very, very early doors in the season. You can't forget that. It's very, very early doors. And like I said last week was nothing to do with the manager. He set the team up how he thought it was best to be sent up. Maybe the formation wasn't the best, but he thought Spurs were going to go with the 3 at the back. Essentially, they didn't. They went with the 4 at the back, which meant that we were going to dominate the midfield, but they were probably going to have an extra person or an extra man at the back, and that helped them defensively. And essentially, where we got caught out was our defensive mistakes, which is something we do have to work on. But I don't think it's the manager's fault. They had a plane flyover, which was Ed Woodward, specialist in failure. Again, I think it's time for a club to be harmonious. We have to try and get on the same page, and I don't think it's the manager's fault. You can like Jose Mourinho, like his style of football. He is what he is. We're not the Manchester United of Sir Alex Ferguson. That's what you have to get into your head. This is a new Manchester United. This isn't a Manchester United of 10 years ago, dominating the Premier League, getting to European finals. This is a new Manchester United, and we're still rebuilding the club. A lot of our big players did retire and left with Sir Alex Ferguson. Players like Van der Sar, we didn't have him, but then we had De Gea, so that didn't really have matter. Rooney, we don't have Ronaldo or Tevez. Any players back in that time, Giggs, Evra, Ferdinand, Vidic, the list goes on. Neville going a little further back. The list goes on, and Sir Alex Ferguson was one of a kind. The best manager for me that was ever, the best manager that's lived for me, and one of the most successful managers on paper, the most successful manager on paper. And I think we're still building from that. It's not something, there we go, grab a goal with Chris Smalling of all players. It's not something that it will take time for fans to get used to it, but I don't think you can sit there and blame the manager. The manager has players he likes, and one of those players yesterday who gets an awful lot of stick, and I've criticised him myself recently. I can easily recall times where I've sat there and said, why are we starting this guy? But Marouane Fellaini yesterday did an absolute job, didn't he, in that CDM. He isn't suited to play centre midfield, spraying the ball around, but he did what he had to do. Fellaini, he's tall, he's physical. So he's going to barge players off the ball, he's going to get the ball, and he's going to pass it to someone who can do what he can't. Like a Pogba, like a Matic. Matic a little further forward. Matic can be somewhat creative, and putting him a little further forward. Our midfield is very, very physical, and we should win the midfield battle in a lot of games. You know, there aren't a lot of Premier League clubs out there that have the physicality in those three centre mids that we were playing yesterday. And if it worked, when Jose finds something that works, he'll stick with it. And if that's playing Fellaini, then I will happily take Fellaini. Yes, we signed Fred, who cost us an awful amount of money, you know, 50-odd million pounds. But if the manager did the manager want Fred? That's the thing. You have to think about that. If the manager wanted Fellaini, then we should have just stuck with Fellaini and put him in there. You know, a player that has been in the club for a huge amount of time now. He came in for David Moyes, so that's 2013-14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This will be his 6th year at the club. So he knows how the club's going to work. And to be fair, he did a bit for us against Brighton as well, you know, wins us a penalty. And for what he does, which is running into the box and trying to get his head on things, think of the amount of goals. I cast my mind back to, what season was it? I think it was either the first or second season. I think it was the first season where we got the top 4 under Louis van Gaal. He was fantastic, him and Ashley Young. You know, they did a great job at holding down that club. And if it means we have to play Fellaini, then I will happily sit there and play Fellaini if we're going to get the win. Now, obviously we have the international break, then we're up against Watford. I think we're at home. I'm confident to say we're at home. Let me just quickly check though. Let's see. I think we're at Old Trafford. Don't hold me to that. Let me have a look. Manchester United. Oh no, we're away from home. So we're at, where do Watford play? Vicarage Road, is it? I can't remember. But it'll be a tough game because they have a lot of good form. They're going to have the confidence. We have to go to Watford and we have to make the upset, because if we lose to Watford, then you're thinking, okay, we're 9 points behind the top of the league. We're going to be so many points off the top 4. And really, again, I'd say I wouldn't say we're a league. We're close. We're very, very close to being able to challenge for that league title. But I don't think we're there yet. We need the consistency of the results. Yes, we can have matches like we did yesterday where we look absolutely fantastic. And we might have a few of those matches, you know, a run of 3 or 4 where we look absolutely great. And then we come up against a big team again, or we have against a small team, we don't get their performance and it shatters the confidence. And then we go up against that big team and we lose more points to them. You know, I wouldn't mind dropping points to the big teams if I knew every time we were going to play a team like Burnley or a team like Brighton, we were going to win comfortably. But it's not always like that. Football's changed. You know, these teams can put up a fight. And I think that's essentially going to be a problem for Manchester United until they find that consistency within the team. Whether that's with a different manager, whether that's still with Jose Mourinho, I don't really know. You know, will Jose keep his place? We don't know. Okay, we can't predict football. You know, we're not mind readers. It all depends on how he does. I'd say at Christmas they might look at things. Will they look at things at the end of the season and think maybe it's time to change something up again, rock the ship again? I don't know. If he's happy, personally, I'd let him stay, because of all the managers that we have had before him, after Sir Alex Ferguson, he's been the most successful. You know, with the last English team to win a European Cup. Yes, the European Cup itself wasn't the most hardest of opposition. We've just missed a corker there. That's the type of chance the car could miss in real life, to be fair. But all in all, I think the match yesterday was a great stepping stone, and we need to build on that. We have the international break. We come back from the international break. We're against Watford, and we take one match at a time. I think that's what we got to do now. We can't be looking ahead to the next match, thinking, yeah, these matches will just fumble our way through, and we'll look forward to the big match. Every game for Manchester United this season is going to be a big match. You know, this is really going to be, you know, it's his 3rd season now. The longest spell of a manager we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. And we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we get into the top 4. I'd say we're still a little bit behind Liverpool and a little bit behind City. You know, City's squad depth is absolutely ridiculous. You know, the fact they can have players like Bernardo Silva on the bench who would get into the starting team of most Premier League clubs. You know, I'd certainly have him in the starting team of Manchester United. But yeah, I think that's going to end this review then. All in all, if I was to sum up the game in 3 words, it's I'd probably use a good result, and that is what it is. That's what it was. It's a good result. We can build from it. We can try and get some confidence back in the squad. Try and get that confidence back in our forwards, like Alexis, like Lingard, like Romelu Lukaku, and then we'll get back from the international break and we'll have a go at Watford away from home. But there we go. The FIFA predicted the right prediction. It says we would win 1-0. A lot of misses. Kind of like the Manchester United performance from yesterday, really, isn't it? We do miss a lot of chances, but once we can get the confidence back in the players, start finishing off some of these chances we should be getting, then I think we'll be alright, okay? But I think the one thing I would take and try and persuade any Manchester United fan right now is stick by the manager. Don't give the manager stick. You know, there's only so much a manager can do. Yes, the Brighton performance was disappointing. Yes, the Spurs performance was a little disappointing. But actually, no, the Brighton performance was disappointing. The Spurs scoreline or result was disappointing. The performance from Spurs was a good performance. And yesterday we put the good performance and we get a good result. That's football. But that is where we are going to end this one then, guys. If you did enjoy, please do remember to smash a like on the video. If you're just here for football reviews, every time Manchester United do have a game, I'm going to put up a football review for you guys to do that. Whether that will be on the big camera or whether that will be watching a FIFA simulation, I don't know. I'll try and mix it up so you don't just have to sit here listening to me. If you want to watch the game of FIFA, then you can watch the game of FIFA. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, remember, leave a like. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe, turn notifications on. We're going to have football reviews here. We're going to have FIFA 19 content. We're going to have FIFA 19 trading content. We're going to have some other content coming this week, this way at you this week as well. I can sit here and say I've got a good 5 uploads that I can get out for you guys. So we're going to have a day's break, probably on the Saturday, and then we'll be straight back at it for the next week. Hopefully by then, or soon enough, we should have ourselves the FIFA 19 demo. And when we have the demo, we will get ourselves back on the FIFA videos. But thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe, stay awesome, stay happy. Come on United, 2-0 win. Let's get back at them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.